Hey everybody, it's Alena. I have my info ready for the first female biblical names video, and I apologize because we got a new camera for Christmas, or not Christmas, sometime before Christmas, and I've only used it a couple times to make videos. To be honest, I don't know where it is right now. Otherwise, I think Rodney has it with him at work. Otherwise, I would use that, but I really need to get a video made because I'm on spring break and I'm going to get a lot of stuff done over spring break. This video is probably going to be very long because today I'm doing A names, and there are 20 biblical female A names, and so I'm doing 10 today and 10 later. So 10 names is actually a lot. And also I just have some other stuff to bring up. But I'm going to go ahead and get started, and the first name I have is Abby, or Abi. And this name comes from the Hebrew word for father. Not sure why they would be naming their daughter father, but the Abby in the Bible was mentioned one time in 2 Kings 18:2. She was the daughter of Zechariah, and she was married to King Ahaz, who was a bad king, but she doesn't say that she was bad or anything. But she was the mother of Hezekiah, who was a good king. So that's good. She at least raised a good son. I just thought this name might be cool to honor Abigail, or if you don't like the name Abigail but you love the name Abby, you can just name her Abby like this, since it's apparently a biblical name. Name number 2 is Abiah, or Abia, and it means God is my father in Hebrew. So wonderful, sweet meaning. In some translations, it says Abijah or Abijah. In mine, it says Abia in all of them, I think. And she is mentioned in 1 Chronicles 2:24 as the wife of Hezron, who was a person mentioned in the lineage of Jacob. So she just mentioned briefly, but once again, it's a cool way, to get to the Abby nickname if you don't like Abigail or don't want the popular Abigail. And people like to use boy names on girls. And this would be a cool, almost tomboyish name, just because names like Jeremiah and Isaiah and Josiah are very popular right now. And so I guess it could have, if you pronounce it Abiah, it could have a tomboyish feel to it. So anyway, so number 2 is Abiah, or Abia. And number 3 is, of course, the very popular Abigail, which means exalted father in Hebrew. Don't know why people would name their daughter a name that means exalted father, but and Abigail is mentioned several places, and I'm going to mention all the places where she's listed on the screen somewhere. And there are 2 Abigails in the Bible. One is much more prominently known than the other one. The less known one is just mentioned in the lineage at one point, and she is King David's sister. Sister, is that right? Yeah, sister. Gotta think about it. And the other, better known Abigail is actually King David's wife. And what happens, it's a pretty cool story, which is probably a big part of why Abigail got so popular. King David is protecting this man Nabal, and when he goes to greet Nabal, he sends people ahead to greet him, and he gets mad at him and tells him to get out of there, and David is going to go and kill Nabal because he's mad at him because he disrespected him and all this stuff. And Abigail hears about it, and it lists her. It says in there that Abigail was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful appearance. And when she heard about it, she sent gifts to King David and bowed to him, apologized, and just explained how foolish her husband was. And David blesses her and spares them. But when Nabal finds out what Abigail went and talked to David about, he gets so upset that he dies. That's pretty much what happens. And then David marries Abigail after that. So it's kind of an interesting story, but kind of cool. And I like how it just talks well about her. However, Abigail has been in the top 10 girls' names for the last 10 years, and it's been in the top 100 for the last 21 years. So it's really popular. A lot of Hebrew names, the B's can be switched out with V's. So you could use Abigail instead and call her Abby, which is kind of cool. I think it's really neat, and not have it be anywhere near as popular as Abigail. Okay, name number 4 is Abihail, or Abihail, and it means father's might in Hebrew, and it's a male and a female name. It's used for both in the Bible, and there are 5 separate Abihails in the Bible, 3 boys and 2 girls. And the first girl is one mentioned in 1 Chronicles 2:29 in the lineage of Jacob. So just mentioned briefly. Don't know much about her. And the second one is in 2 Chronicles 11:18, and she's the wife of King Rehoboam, who is David's grandson. and the son of Solomon. And I don't personally, I'm not personally crazy about Abigail, but I mean, it's another great way to get to the Abby nickname again, and it could be a really great way to honor an Abigail, or if you want to use something more unique than Abigail. And number 5 is Abijah or Abijah, and it means God is my father in Hebrew, same meaning as Abiah, and same references. Once again, these names are kind of just used interchangeably in the Bible, just depending on your translation. So it's the same people in the Bible with the name Abiah and Abijah. Anyway, number 6 is Abishag or Abishag, which means father of error in Hebrew. So not the best meaning and really not the best sound. But Abishag is mentioned in 1 Kings, and she's a young woman who they hired to warm King David's bed because he was old. And it says that that's literally all she did. She just warmed his bed. It says she didn't know David, which means she didn't like sleep with him and stuff. But and she was beautiful and a good caregiver and a good servant, is what it says about her in the Bible. So she was a good person, but I'm not sure if this is very usable just because of the prominent shag sound in it. And the meaning, father of error. I wouldn't mind the shag part, but that with the bad meaning, I'm not sure if it's very usable. Let me know what you guys think about Abishag. Number 7 is Abital or Abital, however you want to pronounce it, and it means father of dew in Hebrew. So another father name, and she is mentioned twice. The first one is in 2 Samuel 3:4, the second one is in 1 Chronicles 3:3, and she was a different wife of David and the mother of Shephatiah, and she's just mentioned in David's genealogy. I just think, once again, it's a great way to get to the Abby nickname if you don't like Abigail or don't want to use such a popular name. And I actually think Abital's kind of really pretty. Has a very unique sound to it. Has an Isabel-ish feel to it to me. Let me know what you think of Abital. Number 8 is Aksa. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and it's spelled with or without the H, just depending on your translation. And Aksa was actually in the top 1,000 one year. It was number 939 in the year 1881. So it's never been popular. And it means bangle in Hebrew, like a bracelet, which is kind of cute. And Aksa is mentioned 3 times. First in Joshua, second in Judges, and third in 1 Chronicles. And she was the daughter of Caleb. And Caleb is one of the leaders of, after Moses died, he and Joshua helped lead the people through the wilderness. And he was a very good person. And he promised whoever conquered a certain city, I'm not even going to mention the name because it's kind of crazy, that they could marry his daughter. And so this man named Othniel conquered the city, and he and Aksa got married, and she asked her father, because the city they won was kind of a dry city, and she asked her father if they could have all these springs, and he gave her all these springs as a gift because he loved her. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a pretty story. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but to be honest, I think any way you want to pronounce it, as long as it makes sense with the spelling, is probably acceptable. I think it's kind of usable. The meaning's cute too. Number 9 is probably going to be most of your favorites off of this video, and that's Ada or Ada, and it means ornament in Hebrew. The Ada spelling without the H is not biblical, and it comes from a different origin even. It's a German name that means noble, but this spelling means ornament. And it was in the top 1,000 through the years 1880 through 1917, and it hasn't been in the top 1,000 since then. I didn't look up the popularity of ADA, but I know it's not super popular. And there were 2 Adas in the Bible. The first one was the life of Lamech, who was Noah's father, Noah and the Ark. And the second one was one of Esau's wives. So she's just mentioned briefly. We don't really know too much about either of the Adas, but such a pretty name, lovely meaning. It's biblical, which is always a plus for me, and it would be a wonderful Ava alternative. Let me know what you think of Ada. And the last one is Agar or Hagar, which means flight in Hebrew. And I'll put all the verses that she's mentioned in here. There is one Hagar in the Bible. It says Hagar in my translation, but just to add it to the A video, I like some of the translations say Agar. So. And she was a servant of Abraham, and Abraham and Sarah could not have children. And so Sarah says, take my servant Hagar and have her as a wife instead so she can give you a child. And when she does give him a child, Ishmael, Sarah gets extremely jealous, and they pretty much banish Hagar. So it's kind of a sad story. And Sarah ends up having kids later, or a child later. However, God promised Abraham he'd have a huge family, multitude of descendants. That's what his name means, father of many, I think. And so, even though Hagar and her son did not receive any inheritance from Abraham, they ended up having a lot of descendants, if that makes any sense, which was like a good thing back then. Okay, so that's all I have for this video. Hopefully the next video I'm going to be able to do is the second part of the female biblical A names video, because there's 10 more. 10 more. And I know a lot of these are Abby names, but let me know what you think of these names. I'm sorry this is so long. I have a couple other things to mention quick. I have been asked to join a new baby name channel. It's a collaborative channel with Alexia and Stephanie and Amelia, and it's called the Baby Name Channel. I will put the link in the description box, and I would love if you would subscribe to it and watch the videos on there. I'm super excited to be part of this. You have no idea. I have had a really, really rough time with a lot of things in my life lately, including today. It's been a rough day. And so that was really encouraging for me when they asked me to be part of that, and I thank you a lot. And I could really use prayers for those of you who have a relationship with God.